All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Baddy Overwatch League. I'm AJaz0, and I am here with BSRK, bringing you guys Game 1 as we are jumping right in. BSRK, how are you feeling about this matchup?
Well, I was tired because I just got done from a nap, but seeing that we are going to have two of arguably some of the best teams in this league that we know of so far playing against each other, I'm pretty awake now.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this matchup goes. A week ago, we were talking about No Talk We ANGEY like they had already won the damn BOL trophy. They proceeded to go 1-2 last week against social distancing from the cart. Did not look very good. And you would think, most teams want to rebound after that. Well, they have a really hard week ahead of them. Reinhardt, McCree, Widowmaker are all banned this week from the hero pools. And I have to think that's going to have a huge effect on this team. They have run, I believe Recruito's played almost every minute on Reinhardt. We all know how good Dreaded DPS is on the Widowmaker. And even that McCree ban, that's been a fallback pick for Dreaded DPS. That has been the pick from MC Ree, who is now playing support today because McCree is banned. We can see No Talk We ANGEY going from 3-0 to bottom of the standings real fast unless they pull something out big here.
Oh, yeah. But I think with those bans, we're going to see something really interesting coming out of them. Like, what do we have Recruito on? We have him on the Sigma, which is obviously forcing. No surprise, Mel on the Orisa, basically at this point her signature hero, which isn't bad because if you main Orisa, you can get a lot of value out of it in this meta.
Yeah, and here we go. We've got a double projectile coming out of HAREM on the offense. Farah and Echo both in play here as Wacky Tabaki just rolling around, not even getting a hit here, as he has bought his team a ton of space to move this card up through the first choke. No Talk We ANGEY's playing real far back right now.
Focus with me.
Yeah, no, I think what both teams are going for right now is they're going for that pseudo poke comp, where they're both going to try to play it. They're both going to try and play at a distance until one of the enemies gets picked, and I think we're seeing that right now because, as you see, with that one pick onto the Echo that I believe the pick on HAREM that Dreaded got allowed the rest of ANGEY to be able to aggress and push both their barriers a little farther forward, allowing them to win the fight.
Yeah, Chris is able to get a res off on a Recruito at the tail end of this skirmish here, which is big for the defense. Obviously, they're at spawn disadvantage right now, but when you res the other person that dies, you're no longer at that disadvantage. And they're doing a really good job getting a bunch of picks kind of staggering here on the HAREM.
I am seeing right now.
Yep. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Wacky dropping out of the cart. There are some ults available. I think Cthulhu and you looking for it. The Rocket Barrage on the Farah. But Wacky and HAREM both go down. And despite that, Cthulhu and you still opts to pop the Rocket Barrage. Only takes out McCree, who's going to be rezzed by Chris. And that seems like kind of a mistake out of the offense.
Yeah, no, it is. It's looking to be a really tough fight for HAREM. And I think if they want any shot of starting off this match with a win, they gotta think about what they're looking at and how they're gonna counter it, because they're kind of just throwing. I wouldn't say they're throwing things at the wall, but what they're doing right now isn't as effective as they probably would like it to be.
Yeah, Dreaded DPS, by the way, had swapped over to that Farah for a bit. Didn't accomplish maybe as much as he was hoping to, but, just go back to Echo, get the kills that way. That's going to work, as we've got... now, Dreaded does go down, so projectiles traded right now. This cart still being completely stalled out, as Chris does get the red on a Dreaded, and it's looking like HAREM falling apart around this cart yet again. All of No Talk We ANGEY still alive, and this is dangerously approaching a full hold here. And now here we go, Blizzard dropped. It looks like it's going to be a chance. Oh my god, a beautiful ult out of Recruito there inside of the Blizzard. They take a Gluba and end part-time. Jesus. Seeing if they can get any stagger picks. Yes, they can get the stagger onto HAREM. And now we've only got 70 seconds to play. This card has not made it past the first choke.
Yeah, no, we're just like today. It's amazing to think that we were gonna think coming into this series that it was gonna be No Talk We ANGEY struggling, but they seem to be playing arguably better. This is arguably their best performance.
Ults are coming out now, and it is the offense ulting early here. Jumanfro has topped it out. Gluba up in the Valkyrie air. There's a lot of damage is starting to stick, but HAREM's still going to be the first to fall here. This Echo has not been very successful out of him. They do manage to get Rakuto, though, so that is the main tank dead on the other side. As Wacky is still kind of balling around. Chris gets the res under Rakuto, so there's going to be a 6 versus 6 in a moment here. As Haren is still sprinting back from spawn. The minefield has been dropped by Wacky. It's creating a lot of split pressure here, as this cart has still been moving. Wacky gets dead axolotl in the back line, as Wacky is creating some awesome pressure here, just circling around this bus, but we're still not really seeing a lot of damage stick. Haren's Harem needs to secure some of these kills, and now Wacky finally down, but Dreaded did die in the other direction. Chris just now has Valkyrie running out. It's a 5 versus 5 on the card. As Gluma does manage to get the mid-fight res off, and so does Chris, so that's Wacky and Dreaded both back to life. As now some picks being traded again. Blizzard once again pops on the card. Gluma and Drewman are both down for Haren's Harem, and you have to think that's going to be it. McCree, the only healer alive, and it's for the defense. As Haren's Harem kind of falling apart on this card. Haren, the last man standing, and there he goes, and a full hold here.
What a performance.
Out of No Talk We Yankee. Wow.
Very, very surprising performance from No Talk We Yankee. We thought they were going to have hard times adjusting to Rakuto being unable to play his signature Rhine, as well as McCree being unable to play his signature McCree. But we're seeing a very good performance today out of No Talk We Yankee.
And what's really disappointing out of Haren's Harem is they didn't seem to have a plan B. They went all in on, hey, we're going to do this double projectile thing because 2 powerful hitscan characters are banned right now, and we don't think they'll be able to shoot us out of the sky. Haren honestly didn't accomplish a whole lot on that Echo, as opposed to Dreaded DPS on the other side, who looked surprisingly proficient on the character. I really wanted to see Haren swap to one of the heroes we've seen more of him in the past out of, like the Spara, something we know we can count on, because he didn't swap that whole game, and I thought it cost this team big.
Yeah, I think we're seeing also a really excellent level of success from the supports on the side of No Talk We Yankee, because their members of their team in team fights would only have a maximum of 2 picks, but for most of the fights that we saw during that fight, no deaths were on the side of No Talk We Yankee, and any deaths that did occur, Chris was able to immediately res, essentially bringing it back to, during that time, was about a 6v4.
Yeah, we'll see here now. It's going to be Haren's Harem attempting to hold out against this Bastion composition. Bastion and Torbjorn for No Talk We Yankee, all setting up on the cards. And they may only need to win one fight, and Dreaded DPS has already picked Gluma out of the sky. This is a disaster for Haren's Harem.
I think Haren's Harem is going to be going out of business after this match.
Yeah, Wacky Tabaki has to go in and drop on the cart, try to do something, but this team has been mopped up. And this isn't just a loss, this is a tilter. This is a complete destruction by No Talk We Yankee, who are now just inches away from the cart. Jumanfro doing the only thing he can by touching the cart here, and I don't think anyone else is even going to get onto this. And wow.
That's going to be a quick map 1 coming on the side of No Talk We Yankee.
Yeah, instant bounce back from a rough week for Angie. So the play of the game is going to be Dreaded DPS here.
None other than the man himself.
All it took was one fight on this Bastion to win this map. And here we go, just aiming around. He just gets some damage onto just about everyone here in this fight.
Absolutely wild. And I think going forward, if honestly, with just what we've seen from this first match, it almost makes you think Widow was almost like Dreaded's ankle weights. He plays a very high skill hero, almost in a fashion to restrain himself, and now that he can't play Widow, we see him whipping out these heroes such as the Echo and the Bastion that he is just single-handedly tearing through Haren's Harem on. And I think if Harem wants to have any luck in these coming maps, they're gonna have to do something about Haren. I mean, God damn it, Dreaded.
Absolutely. So we'll see what they have in the tank. Meanwhile, on the other side, Haren maybe spending a little too much time thinking about feet picks before this match started. You gotta be thinking about Overwatch instead, my dude. But for anyone that did not catch our pre-show, this is a great opportunity to send Haren more feet picks, as has been requested by the man himself. We're gonna get some feet power rankings before next week, I believe. As it looks like we are gonna have a swap here.
Just remember, can...
MC Ree out, Bluezinga in.
Ooh. I think we see an Ana or a Moira out of Bluezinga. I think we see Kriz run the Baptiste, as well as an Ana and a Moira on the side of No Talk Wiangi, which isn't a bad, because if you can run the Moira and the Baptiste, then you're gonna have your team's just gonna be really hard to kill. And I think that's what
already was struggling to find kills whatsoever.
Yeah, I think with this poke comp that we saw, or this pseudo poke comp that we saw No Talk Wiangi running, I think that's what they're going for. They're gonna want to go for, and just they're gonna want to be able to become unkillable, so they have all the time and all like the risk-taking ability that they need.
And we need to pause for one of these teams real quick. 1 sec while we get that all sorted out. So I guess that'll give us a moment to break down this match a little more here. So HAREM, we know this team, whatever the opposite of tilt-proof is, they are. And I'm very worried about them after that first match.
Oh yeah, no. It's even with people, even with having Wacky and HAREM on your team, two players who can, for the most part, stay very calm and very concentrated and focused on the match. I think even they're gonna have to tilt to some extent after that one.
Oh yeah, I'm actually gonna correct you there. HAREM not calm and collected. HAREM is a tilt machine. He is the Mentos in the Diet Coke shaken up after a loss pretty consistently. And he's kind of open about it sometimes. If you ask him, he will say like, "Hey, yeah, I got tilted to fuck after that game." And that's rough when that game is the first one of the match because you still have 2 more to play. So this is going to be a chance for HAREM to grow a little as a player and maybe as an in-game leader, try to bounce back from that because this team has been up and down, not just from match to match, but from map to map. And they need to get some of that up into their system really fast.
I've never played a match with HAREM, but after hearing that, I very much would like to now. We're going to have Rakudo going for a swim, though, on the side of Volskaya.
Just trying to let everyone know ahead of time what he's playing like a gentleman. So we'll see. This Sigma's going to be the last one back out on the defense as he's going to be just about as the point opens. So we'll see. We've got another one of these double shield comps coming out of No Talk Wiangi. Dreaded and Dead Axolotl playing Echo Sombra as the DPS. Meanwhile, on the offense, we have incoming HAREM on the Pharah. They have Pharmacy going. Cthulhu and you playing Doomfist as they run Sigma and Wrecking Ball as their tank line.
I think what they're trying to get out of this is they're both going poke, but I think they're trying to get HAREM to contest Dreaded in the Sky, and they know the Echo didn't work, so HAREM is kind of going with a comfort pick, which I don't blame him for. Because the Pharah in some scenarios can be very effective against the Echo.
Yeah, and Wacky has kind of pulled everyone back. The defense now all the way back to this point as Wacky's going in again, but that was a nice sleep out of the Tabaki, and Dead Axolotl finishes off the Superstar. Now it's a 5v6 for HAREM's Hammer. Are they going to be able to back out of this one? Or are they going to get picked trying to back out? It's looking like they will be able to fall back a little bit. It will not take long for Wacky Tabaki to rejoin them here. There's really full health bars all around. Now Wacky Tabaki rejoined the fight. Tabaki is in, but Cthulhu and you dies right as his tank enters. Nice pick out of Dreaded DPS there. And this is just slow and ineffective entry out of HAREM's Harem right now. Cthulhu and you gonna swap over to Soldier 76. But there we go. Wacky Tabaki down for a second time here. As this really looks like HAREM's Harem needs to just pull back and get a full regroup. But actually, no, they get a Resident Wacky, and they pick the opposing Sombra. They lose Cthulhu and you, so we got a 5v5. Kriz, Valkyrie up in the air right now. So a lot of healing onto the defense. As this fight kind of really just...
This is...
a lot of poking around that's not doing a whole lot.
You can tell that both teams are trying to play this very carefully, because any kill... I'm losing my voice, but any kill in this fight can essentially secure and that's going to be it.
That hits 4. That means HAREM will not be able to drop this nano Pharah barrage that they were setting up for. But there we go. Rocket barrage does come down, but a lot of it into the shield. HAREM did still manage to pick up 2 kills in the process of that fight, but now HAREM goes down in the sky to Dreaded DPS. This is a pretty even fight right here. I think this is a 5v5 or 5v4 right now. is there are a lot of low health bars on the side of Haren's Harem, though. And Wacky Tabaki drops the area denial here. Meanwhile, a tick has nearly gone over to the offense, but ults are coming out. Man advantage starting to tilt in favor of No Talk Wiangi as Wacky Tabaki goes down. So people have rejoined from spawn here, but I don't think it's going to matter. This looks like Haren's Harem needs to commit to a reset, and they're not doing it. They're trying to fight this. All 6 members of No Talk Wiangi have made it back to the point. Chris Valkyrie, again, as Dreaded has picked out Haren, who was on the Tracer now. They're Gluba, Cthulhu, and you both going down. Part-time Jesus down, and finally, with a just barrage of kills coming through, No Talk Wiangi is finally forced Haren's Harem to reset. But there's only a minute and 15 to play.
For the longest time in that fight, it was just the craziest clown fiesta, the most scattered fight I had ever seen. You had Haren taking on 2 people. You had Haren taking on a Mercy Echo. I don't know what to call it yet. You had Blue Zynga on the side of ANGEY taking on one of the tanks from Haren's Harem.
Yeah, and by the way, there is big ult advantage heading in the, towards No Talk Wiangi right now, as we're closing in on Cthulhu and use ult, but Dreaded DPS saying perfect, that's the one I'll take for myself. And now Dreaded DPS, he's up on the high ground. Dreaded DPS doesn't accomplish anything with it though. And now we have 35 seconds to play. It looks like Haren's Harem, they probably want to just keep playing the slow, maybe try to get some ult charge up so they can kind of even out this ult disadvantage. As they're starting to close in on a lot of ults. They could be going for a nano visor here in a second. 22 seconds to play. And there we go. Visor up on the high ground. Cthulhu and you looking for something, but there we go. An EMP comes out and it hits 3. However, Haren's Harem, they have found 4 kills in the blink of an eye here. And with 20 seconds to go, Haren's Harem is going to be able to tap this point.
Yeah, if I had to say it, that was best case scenario for Haren's Harem right there. They had to use only what, 1 ult, and now that they just had to use that 1 ult and made the fight so fast, they're going to have almost 5 ults coming into this next fight.
Yeah, they may have a chance to rush in here with an advantage.
And on top of that, they got rid of but
Cthulhu and you gets picked on the entry, and that may put a halt to all of that planning. They do get the res though, so they are looking to commit here. Is Haren's Harem, they are all up on this high ground, but they are really getting poked. And Cthulhu and you have died twice before this fight even breaks out, but Wacky Tabaki had to commit here. He goes down. They did manage to get the kill on the Chris, but I don't think that we're gonna see Haren's Harem finish this push off.
Yeah, no, it's just like the last match where the fights are going out so long and drawn, all up until Dreaded DPS finds his pop-off moment, and then that's when the fight ends. But it never ends in the favor of Haren's Harem. And I think the goal, if you're Haren's Harem right now, is you want to get rid of Dreaded before the fight starts, you want to get rid of...
Yeah, here we go. It looks like they're going to start trying to get rid of people. Bob goes in, meets face-to-face with an ice wall. There's a lot of ults being dropped around the point. Jumanfro dies before tossing out the nano for Haren's Harem. But there's a lot of low health bars on the side of the defense here, but Wacky Tabaki's now down 2. It's a 6v4 in favor of No Talk Wiangi on the defense, and this is looking good for the defenders yet again. Part-time Jesus now down as well, and another fight, multiple ults blown. And not a single pick for Haren's Harem, who now only have a minute and a half to play.
Again, I'd say that fight was massively credited to Dreaded on the fact that before that fight came even close to starting, he was able to get rid of the Ana, which that's a lot of healing. That's half the healing for Haren's Harem just gone. Fight's not even started yet, and the res was already used on Cthulhu, so they couldn't res the other healers, so it's basically a downhill fight for Haren's Harem.
Now the only ult here is Ana Jumanfro with the nano available. Meanwhile, there are a few closing in for the defense. That was maybe a nice sleep on Rakudo. No, just kidding. He's behind the shield. He's fine. And Wacky Tabaki going very low here. Only 40 seconds to play, so it's going to be really hard if anyone gets staggered from Haren's Harem again. However, we saw them the last point. They managed to stall out in this situation, build up some ult charge. Here we go. Nano Tabaki goes in, gets slept, holding onto his health bar, though, is Cthulhu and you up in the air. 90% on that rocket barrage. Now, here we go. Dead Axolotl, the defenders, dropping a nice blizzard, and it manages to take out 2 as Wacky is dropping a minefield in the back line. This is turning into a very split fight, but this is currently advantage offense. Cthulhu and you pops the barrage, pops no one. Harem does manage to snipe out Dreaded DPS. Chris, though, going to res him. And this is Harem falling apart. It does not look like they are going to be able to capture this second point. And no, they will not. No talk, we ANGEY. Hold point 2 completely.
I think if I had to think of what we need out of Heron's Harem is we're noticing Heron is doing what I'm assuming is his just absolute best to try and counter Dreaded out of the sky, but Dreaded is playing around him so well and being able to avoid his Ashe, his soldier, while also being able to get these just insane picks on like healers and tanks on the side of Harem that the fights just end before they even start.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, it's been really rough. Heron's been switching characters a lot. He clearly wants to find an answer and has been just totally unable to all match long.
Not having the McCree to counter out that Echo has got to be torturing him right now.
Now this is my kind of factory.
So we'll see here, what can Harem pull off on the defense? Is Wacky going for the good guy SD to start this one off. So Harem, they're going to run, it's a soldier and a Torbjorn as the defensive DPS with Baptiste and Moira coming out to support. Nothing too surprising from the heals. On the other side, Dead Axolotl busting out the first Genji of the night.
That's what I was going to say. Do we see it? We do. We see a Genji today. In this meta, in this day, I didn't think it was possible, but I am so happy to see it with my eyes.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to, I assume, try to get those nano blades going. That'll create a lot of pressure for Dreaded to mop up once these fights break out. As here we go, Jumanthro dies on the defense here. So there's a first pick going over to that Genji. As now, No Talk Liang has pushed on to the point. They have their entire team stacked up nice and neat as Wacky is trying to disrupt them. There's some nice suction, but a good shield on a part-time Jesus, but...
Ooh.
Sorry, that was Marvelous Mel with a good shield, not part-time Jesus, because it's the defense falling apart. Although they are finding a few picks here. So this point starting to take up, so No Talk Liang, they have a slight advantage on this point right now, is Harem is very split up right now, and Wacky Tabaki goes on to the point the challenge is going to die for it. And now I don't think there's going to be a chance for the remaining members of Harem to get out here, and they probably need to go get onto that point and die on that point, because
they're just getting
what are they doing? What are they doing? They're turning their backs, they're trying to run. Oh my god, if they get staggered here, this could be GG outright. And we see No Talk Liang, they're charging forward, they're trying to pick out Gluma. Gluma just barely makes it up by the skin of his teeth. But Genji, oh my god, Dead Axolotl wanted to go for it. But Harem, very fortunate, they don't get any staggers there. And now Wacky Tabaki manages to get the kill on the Dead Axolotl, and that should stop what was looking like a very worrying push.
That was the amount of dedication that Dead Axolotl had to just absolutely murking the Moira.
Yeah, Wacky Tabaki, he was out deep, he gets caught with the sleep, and now that's gonna open up. Nano Blade coming in. Oh, Dead Axolotl going through and slicing through the Harem. And Harem going to lose this map nearly as quickly as they lost Junkertown, unless Wacky pulls the greatest miracle of his life here. But Harem hasn't found a single kill in this final fight of the map, and Volskaya Industries going to go over to No Talk We ANGEY, who are just putting on a clinic right now.
Dead Axolotl he just looked the meta dead in the eyes and said, "Here is my dick, meta this."
Play of the game.
Yeah, and Dead Axolotl, going to get play of the game accordingly, as I'm guessing it was this last fight here, and it was as soon as Wacky went down, they knew this team starts to fall apart and just goes in, slices and dices his team's way to a win. And that was, I mean, just another clinic.
Yeah,
this is much more in line with the team we saw in week 1 that rolled through Mad Bass that we expected to see every week.
This is just nuts. This isn't a match. This is just a beating.
And like we said, they're doing it without the Widow and the McCree and the Reinhardt that have been huge picks for this team all season so far.
Dreaded Echo main confirmed? Because holy shit. I've honestly never seen someone learn Echo this fast. And it's nuts to think that you have players in this league like Dreaded, like Dead Axolotl, who have had not even a month to just practice up these heroes, and we're already seeing Dreaded just be an absolute superstar with this Echo.
Yeah,
So,
this could be really big for No Talk ANGEY as they start to look back towards championship aspirations, where having that extra bit of flexibility with your best player can open up so many ways for your team to win. And that's, we've seen, in past seasons, especially, the struggle for Dreaded DPS's teams has been when the Widow isn't working, does the team fall apart? And last week that answer was yes. But it's been a while since I don't think we've ever seen him playing as well on a non-hit scan character as we're seeing him play this Echo tonight. And I can't wait to see if he can keep this level of play going forward.
I think, yeah, because they're subbing in MC Ree. They're subbing him back in, but but by the looks of it, they're putting him on DPS, which I think they're going to have him run a hit scan, such as the Ashe or the Soldier, so Dreaded DPS can just keep fragging on this Echo, because it's working, so why not just keep doing it?
Now traveling to Busan.
But if you're Heron's Harem, you're throwing absolutely everything at the wall and just nothing is sticking.
Initiating.
So we'll see if Heron's Harem, they're going to try to right the ship on this one as we head over to Busan. It would really hurt to rack up 3 losses in the night. Obviously, they're already behind. There was a 3-way tie heading into the day of teams at 4-2. Heron's Harem wanted to keep pace with those teams. Going to see if they can claw any points back here.
After this, I think Heron's gonna be feeling pretty sad. So I think what he's gonna need after this one is just as much feet picks as humanly possible. I think that's what's gonna really make his night if Heron's Harem can't,
Yeah, everyone do your
pull the
part.
reverse sweep.
Cheer up this man who pours so much love and soul into the Baddy Overwatch League. Send him pictures of your feet.
5, 4,
He's earned this after all this suffering he has
1.
given to us on stream tonight. As here we go, Busan opening up. Very new composition coming out for Heron's Harem. They're going to try Soldier and Reaper. Just see if they can get something different to stick here. Meanwhile, McCree playing Hanzo on the other side. So McCree is back on the DPS here as everyone meeting up in the middle of Busan. True Man Throw does go down early, so this is another bad fight. Tabaki on the Roadhog down as well. By the way, that is not Wrecking Ball.
Another pick from Dreaded DPS before the fight even starts, and it was on a support. It was on the Moira. That's almost 75% of Heron's Harem's healing just gone.
Yeah, and this has been rough. I feel like the supports for Heron's Harem has been a huge issue tonight that I haven't highlighted enough, but they've just been getting picked early in these fights way too often. And this isn't like you have Winston, Diva, Genji, Tracer jumping your backline to pick your supports apart. This is just Dreaded DPS going up in the air and finding people in bad positions and getting kills on them. And it's ending some of these fights before they begin. Wacky now down first. Is that his Chris getting the kill onto Wacky, by the way?
Oh, if I know Chris, Wacky is not going to hear the end of that one.
Yeah, now Dreaded is down here. Dies, res, dies again. So this, if there's going to be a chance here for Heron's Harem, this is it. 6v5 with the best DPS eliminated. But Heron's Harem, they are pushing very methodically here. They've just lost Cthulhu and you. And Dreaded is already back to this fight up in the air, and they accomplished nothing with that pick. As now Wacky Tabaki is making his way onto the point here, creating some decent pressure for his team. But here we go, Rakudo tossing out the Sigma ultimate, and that is going to turn to 3 kills in the blink of an eye. Make that 4, make that 5, and Heron's Harem.
What an endeavor! What an absolute just props to the supports on the side of No Talk ANGEY for this match, because what was it? I think 3 members of No Talk died in that fight, and they died before any members of Heron's Harem, and they still won the fight because those other those other three just survived for so long.
Yeah, Dread's popping Echo ults, lost that Reaper stock very quickly as we're at 95%. Actually, Heron's Harem, they have to...
Are they even going to touch?
They do not find a way to barrel through here.
Hard time to beat this, but they don't.
Yeah, very poorly paced there out of Heron's Harem. I mean, look at that. They had a bunch of ults available at the end there. They had some go buttons to press, and they just failed to put their foot on the gas. And this looks like a team that is just mentally out of this match already.
Yeah, if you're Heron, if you're both Heron and Wacky, you've probably already tuned out. Like,
It is not my preference to see the matters personally.
if we see the reverse sweep from Heron's Harem from this, it would be nothing short of a miracle, because we're just seeing no momentum and no signs of life out of Heron's Harem. So to see a comeback now would be Baddy League top 10 moments.
Yeah, you can call this team erectile dysfunction, because they have not been able to get up for this match at all, and it's been disappointing, honestly. When this team looks off, they just look very off, and they are going to keep their foot on that off button as Cthulhu and you gets picked immediately by Dreaded DPS on this entry. And at this point, I expect we're going to just see some boys playing solo queue trying to get picks, because that's really all Heron's Harem has left here, is they are trying to fight over the War Drum point. A lot of damage sticking onto Heron's Harem for now, but no picks in a while, as Heron's Harem is coming dangerously close. Actually, with everyone there, Heron's Harem manages to take the point. They've also eliminated Kriz in a 1v1 trade, and this could be a chance for something positive for the Harem here, as they are sticking a lot of damage onto No Talk ANGEY right now. They pick up Luzinga and Rakudo.
Both supports on the side of No Talk ANGEY are out of this.
Kriz has made it back to this fight, though. But despite that, it's going to be an opening fight win here for Heron's Harem.
That was a very, very close, like, it was a win, but it was a very costly win, because even towards the end of it, you had Dreaded DPS picking off one, I think even two people before he was down and out.
Yes, let's keep an eye on here, as we've got Dreaded does have the Echo ult available, so we'll see who he chooses to copy. This team also has Rocket Barrage available now. Here we go. Dread is going to steal Part-Time Jesus' Sigma. As now Juman Pro opening up with this Moira ult nice and early, as we've got ults coming out. Dreaded has popped that Sigma ult. Didn't do a whole lot. Now we have Nano out. We have a lot of ults becoming available, as this fight's getting very split, but it's now two members of Heron's Harem already down. Heron has popped Bob out, as they do manage to pick, Heron does pick Dreaded DPS out of the sky. This could be a chance something, but now Juman Pro down. That's a lot of healing unavailable for the team defending the point, as they're slowly starting to fall apart here. And there we go, a point has been flipped. Rakudo with a nice double kill on that ult. Kriz finishes things off with a kill on a Heron.
I don't know if this was just immensely good coordination from the side of No Talk ANGEY or just pure blind luck, but they did such a good job of, like, dividing up Heron's Harem and just picking them off in pieces. Like, you have about 3 of their members on the Roadhog alone, and after that they went for Heron, who is all alone on the right, and then the other 4 members of Heron's Harem are just having a hard time trying to get in, because the DPS on the side...
Oh, here we go. Cthulhu and you is leading the charge here, and he pops a somewhat defensive Meteor Strike. Now, Dreaded DPS did go down here, and this Meteor Strike is actually getting some nice disruption in the backline. Luzinga and Kriz are both down. Rakudo's down. That is No Talk ANGEY getting mopped up on this point, and this is going to be a full team ace here. A point flipped over, and now Heron's Harem, they are staring down a point here.
This could be the first sign of life that we see coming out of Heron's Harem.
Yeah,
Unless...
the thing to watch for here is with ults available, Gluba does have that defensive sound barrier available. MC Ree on the other side with the Rocket Barrage. So let's see if MC Ree can find a miracle here, if Gluba can mop that one out.
It's gonna come down to how Gluba uses this beat. It could be what makes or breaks this point for Heron's Harem.
Yeah, here we go. MC Ree gets picked on the entry. Heron hit scanning, takes out Kriz as well. That pharmacy is down. The beat has been dropped. And this is a great fight for Heron's Harem. They lose Cthulhu and you manage to trade for Dreaded DPS. They'll take that every time. As now Luzinga is down. No heals available. No life available for No Talk ANGEY. And we are going to round 3 in Busan.
If we see,
One.
I think after getting that definitive win on the side of Haren's Harem, you're not as tilted anymore. You're still kind of tilted because you're on your last ropes, but you're at least relieved to know that there's a sign of life in this match for you.
Yeah, and that's huge because, like we were just saying a minute ago, they hadn't shown much life all night, and they finally get something going. And now we're gonna see, was that a 1-point fluke on Busan, or have they maybe figured out a few picks that are working for them? Wacky over to this Roadhog now, as the Wrecking Ball just had not been doing what they wanted it to tonight. Haren also playing very well on that Soldier. Now here we go. Wacky Tabaki, he is flanking over on the low ground. Going to try to get around to the side here and just put some pressure onto this team. As Wacky Tabaki does get slapped early, but Cthulhu and you picks out Dreaded DPS nice and early here. As Wacky Tabaki, meanwhile, taking a lot of damage. It's 5v5 right now. Chris does get a nice red on the Dreaded DPS. But Haren finding Marvelous Mel here. Now the objective is open, so we'll see if anyone opts to catch it or if they're going to try to finish off this fight. As both teams kind of making their way towards the point, but there's a lot more members of No Talk We ANGEY alive here as Recruito gets the last few kills here. Juman throw the last to fall, and that's going to be point going over to ANGEY.
I think what's working for Haren's Harem is, I think I see how they're trying to play. I could be wrong, I could be terribly wrong, but that is going to be... That's
Big
just gonna be
on the Wacky.
Yep. But I think they're trying to use the Doomfist from Cthulhu to get that first pick before Dreaded gets that first pick. Because they know they can't counter Dreaded. They've already tried and it just doesn't work. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to outplay him instead of counter him. Alright,
so here we go. Next fight breaking out on the point. Chris already balked up in the air. Dreaded DPS gonna copy that Roadhog out of Wacky Tabaki, but Cthulhu and you is already falling for Haren's Harem here. Not how they want to start this fight. Now they lose Gluba as well, and that's looking like it's going to be a fight loss for Haren's Harem that should try to get out of this with as many bodies as they can. They've lost 3. McCree looking for a 4th here, and he's going to find part-time Jesus. Now Haren's playing this pretty aggressively up here. Cthulhu and you another pick as this set of staggers continues.
I think in that last fight, after
Wacky the next to fall, nice stagger. Chris making a lot of kills tonight on the Mercy. And here we go. It looks like there's going to be pedal pushed to the metal here as Nano does come out. Haren is popping a tactical visor here. He does take out Dreaded DPS. He's looking to see if he can find anyone else, but he's not having a whole lot of luck, and that may have been a little aggressive out of Haren, as Haren's Harem is really running out of time here. Chris gets the res on a Dreaded. As we'll see here, Cthulhu and you does go down to that Resurrected Echo.
Another early pick onto Cthulhu.
Yeah, now it's a 4v6 in favor. No Talk We ANGEY, Dreaded DPS is going to, oh no, lose his life there. And that could be the open that Haren's Harem needs. Wacky Tabaki just doesn't find anything with that whole hog though. And now 95%, a massive disadvantage for Haren's Harem. Chris bounced up in the air. It's going to be really hard to find picks here. I don't think Haren's Harem will be able to. They do touch, they force overtime, but they have to get some damage to stick fast. The few members that are down here, they're all playing nice and clumped up, but that just opens them up for this dragon. Now here we go. Dreaded DPS up on the high ground, looking to find something with this visor. And it's looking like the visor will find some, and that will be it. And after some life in the last rounds, No Talk We ANGEY runs it back with another clean round on Busan to take this map 2-1, to take this match 3-0. Play of the game. Gonna be Chu Manfro on the Moira.
Just wow.
Hold the beam.
They spent the whole match just stomping them, and they let them take one small, like, just barely attained breath of life, just so it felt better to kick them in the face even harder.
Alright, folks, well, that's going to do it for match 1. We'll be back in a few minutes here with Give Reinhardt Wall Climb versus Mad Bass. So stay tuned.